Oh my God. Senator Kennedy has been shot in the head.
In June 1968, 24-year-old Palestinian refugee Sirhan Sirhan shot dead presidential candidate Robert Kennedy in a hotel pantry. More than 40 years later, he still claims to have no memory of committing the act.
I don't remember. I must have been too hypnotized, too much out of my senses to really be aware of what happened.
It was obvious that he had been programmed to kill Robert Kennedy and programmed to forget that he'd been programmed.
During tonight's experiment, I'll be testing to see whether such unlikely sounding claims are actually possible. This is to find out whether or not it's possible, so only time will tell. If this experiment is to succeed, neither Chris, a sports marketing executive, nor his family and friends can have any idea that I'm going to try and program him into becoming an assassin. As far as they're all concerned, he's simply taking part in a show that explores the limits of hypnotism. We talked to the people closest to him and slipped in some questions about violence.
He's a very peace-loving person, so I can't imagine him being violent in any sort of way.
I don't think Chris would do anything bad to anybody. Ultimately, I don't think he'd hurt a fly.
Interestingly, this is what the younger brother of Bobby Kennedy's killer, Sirhan Sirhan, says about the convicted assassin's character prior to the murder.
If we were sitting here and a fly happened to venture in, Sirhan would open the door, and he'd try to make it go out again. It's just not conceivable to me that he would take a gun and actually use it against a person.
In order to condition Chris to become an assassin, I'll be using brainwashing techniques allegedly employed by the CIA's MK-Ultra program in the 1960s. There are two key stages to this process: the marksman mode and spontaneous amnesia. Eyewitness accounts report that Robert Kennedy's assassin, Sirhan Sirhan, was in a trance-like state during the shooting. Under hypnosis, the convicted killer has since said that he thought he was firing at a target in a rifle range and not at a human being. He claims a mystery woman in a polka dot dress pinched him on the shoulder to send him into this range or marksman mode. I'm going to try to create a similar mode for Chris, which will come into play if and when he attempts to assassinate his celebrity target. So I've brought him to a rifle range just outside London to meet Angie, an independent firearms instructor. So the point of today is to see how hypnosis can improve marksmanship and your aim. Have you ever done anything like this before?
Not really.
Not really?
A bit of paintballing.
Oh, okay. Well, this is a bit of a step up. This is a lever-action rifle, such as every American child is issued with. And we are using live rounds here.
Yes, we are.
Because Chris has never fired live rounds before, he's getting a safety briefing and an introductory lesson in how to shoot a gun. He starts with the Winchester .38 caliber lever-action rifle.
That's it. Right back. That's it. And a nice gentle squeeze. Back at the side.
Chris is slowly getting used to handling and firing the weapon, but it's a long way from the natural assassin I'm trying to create.
Not very good.
On his first attempt, Chris completely misses the bullseye.
You've lifted front sight, and it's reacted and brought the bullets higher. Okay.
Chris believes we're here to improve his aim through hypnosis.
Just take a deep breath in, and then just get back into that sleep. Then you bring the gun up, you breathe in, and then a comfortable, steady breathe out, and it's on that out breath that you squeeze the trigger.
His aim may improve, but more importantly, I'll also be creating the marksman mode he needs to slip into during the assassination attempt.
There's a mode that you move into, and we'll call it the marksman. It's almost like a personality within you that you move into when you bring the gun up. And your unconscious mind will allow you to do that with the focus and relaxation and concentration of that experienced marksman.
Next, I'll need to implant an audio trigger that, once set off, will automatically put Chris into marksman mode.
So this is the sound. It's going to lodge itself very deeply into your unconscious. So whenever you hear that sound, whenever you hear that ringtone, your mind will shift to this marksman state. And then, As you feel it take you over, as you feel everything just moving into place and everything settling, when you're ready to give yourself that final bit of focus, you bring your finger up, you can do that now, touch yourself on the forehead, and then you become the marksman. That's very good.
Will my suggestions have any effect on Chris?
Now, as you do this, or maybe before you pick up the gun, I want you to trigger the stake, which is your right finger on your forehead, and then go into it.
Remember, the first time, Chris completely missed the bullseye.
Wow.
That's brilliant.
That's amazing. So you've got two right in the very centre, and then one just on that outside bit, and then the other two very close.
That is very, very good.
And you've never done this before with a real gun?
No, not at all, no.
That is really good, isn't it, Angie?
To get groupings like this on the first time shooting is absolutely amazing. You've done really well.
Excellent. This is very impressive.
I was expecting some improvement, but nothing like this. In the marksman mode I've given him, he's hit 2 bullseyes. Now we give Chris a different gun to make sure that his improvement isn't a fluke. What he doesn't know is that it's similar to the pistol he'll be given for the assassination. This time I used the ringtone to trigger the marksman mode.
Right, so before, the most you'd ever got was 2 in the centre, and that's 4 in the centre. Did that feel any different, doing that?
Yeah, I think like there's just a bit more concentration and just, yeah, kind of bring it into a bit of a focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that result at all. There's no way. You know, he should have been able to get those groups on the first go. So whatever Darren did, I think it's absolutely amazing.
In terms of the experiment, it's not important how many bullseyes Chris hits. What's vital is that he can achieve this marksman state, and to that end, the assassination programming appears to be working. Welcome back. So far, my potential assassin Chris is making excellent progress. In fact, has exceeded my expectations. But will he stand up and fire what he believes are real bullets at a celebrity target in a packed theatre? We'll find out soon. I'm not finished with him yet. I've completed the first stage of Chris's programming, the marksman mode, in which, upon hearing a specific trigger, he goes into a trance and inhabits the role of a top-level shooter. Each time he enters the marksman mode, he should believe he's back at the rifle range. I want to make sure this happens, so I brought him away from the gun range to this warehouse building to repeat the test.
What was that like? Where were you? What was your experience of doing that?
I found it quite easy to actually go back as if I was there at the range. Like a lot of my smells and the kind of sensation of bringing the gun up was just like actually doing it.
Yeah, okay, that's fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted to hear from you. Good.
In the second part of the assassin programming process, I'm going to create gaps in Chris's memory. A form of spontaneous amnesia designed to make him forget his actions if and when he attempts the assassination. Sirhan claims that he has no memory of killing Bobby Kennedy.
I have never been able to remember what happened in that place at that time, but I have not been able to remember many things and incidents which took place in the weeks leading up to the shooting.
In March 2011, he was denied parole for the 14th time because he hasn't shown enough remorse or taken full responsibility for the crime that he says he doesn't remember committing.
We know with some degree of distrust, quite frankly, you're remembering parts of this and not remembering others.
Do you remember the last time you had amnesia?
No.
It's an odd question, but it's if you think about, for example, when you drive home. Do you drive?
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you had that experience of driving in a car when perhaps you're taking a familiar route home that you've taken many times, and you get home and you can't quite remember taking the journey? I mean, these are quite ordinary everyday experiences, but you know that feeling.
Yeah.
Good. I want to show you how you can create that, and also to be able to go into the trance with your eyes open. I want you to look at this pattern, and as you look at that, I want you to go into the trance, but keep your eyes open. You will have absolutely no memory of anything that occurs during the time that you're in the state. And whenever you see this polka dot design, whether it's on a screen like this or on a handkerchief or anywhere, you will move instantly and comfortably into this trance state. And then when the design is taken away from your field of vision, you come back up and out of the sleep state, just as if you were being counted awake, with no memory of what happened in between. So you can look at the screen for a bit there, and then you can stop looking at the screen. How long were you looking at the screen for?
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Oh, that is probably about right, isn't it? Excellent. So stand up for me. Just come and stand about there. Your PIN number that you use at the moment, do you use it for loads of things, or is it just for getting cash out the machine?
Mainly just my cash machine.
Okay. So if I was to tell you your PIN number, if I could work that out from you, you could go and change that, and it wouldn't be a huge deal. You're not upsetting a million other things that you use the same number for.
No, not particularly, no.
Okay. All right. Good. So you're happy for me to do this? If I can get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Think of your PIN number. You got it? Just think of the number. And obviously you wouldn't have told anybody what this is. No, that wouldn't make any sense. So just think of the number. Good. That's good. Say the number.
1054.
Good. Just think of it. Visualize the number. Imagine yourself at the machine. Look at me. 1.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
1054. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that your PIN number?
Yeah.
Good, I was pleased I got that right. I was going to get that wrong. PIN numbers are difficult. Thank you very much for today.
No problem.
Excellent. It's been a fun morning. Thank you.
Yeah, it's quite strange that he knew my PIN number, because I don't tell anyone. It's not like he could have asked someone who knew. I haven't told him, I haven't written it down anywhere. So I'm baffled, I guess. I don't know how he worked it out.
Chris was doing well, so after a long afternoon it was time to unwind and have a chat.
Good shoes, by the way. You always seem to wear really good shoes. They're it's just impressive. I like shoes, and very good shoes.
Thank you.
I used to be a pickpocket when I was younger.
Okay.
And I used to steal all sorts of things from people, and used to take people's watches. There's a way of, basically, as you sort of talk to somebody and take hold of their wrists and so on, you can remove a watch from their wrist, and ties and all sorts of other things, wallets, obviously. And the most impressive thing that I used to steal from people when I was a pickpocket, only for entertainment reasons, was people's shoes. This is how I sort of got into liking shoes, I guess. And would you just sort of, don't look at your shoes at the moment. I don't want you considering too much how obviously well they're tied up and everything, but how do you think that I could just steal your shoe from you without you realising?
No, not really. I mean, I guess somehow, because it's your Dan Brown, but no, not really.
Appreciate your faith. But it would seem impossible, wouldn't it? Because you're stood on them. A watch, you can maybe imagine I could sort of move you around a bit. But, or what if I told you that actually I'd already stolen your shoe?
What? No, what's happened?
Good, isn't it? Were you aware of me doing that?
No, not at all. No, I don't know when that's happened.
Because that was just on there a few seconds ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You've no memory of me taking that off you? You didn't feel anything?
No, the last thing I can remember is when you just pointed at my shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's gone.
So no idea where it is? I've hidden it somewhere.
No.
I put it in the bread bin just there. Go on, take it out. I'm very quick. It's a kind of a speed thing. But honestly, you had no conception of me taking that off you.
No. No, not at all.
I'd put it back on. It takes a while to do the laces up.
So let's back it up and see exactly what's happened there.
Just sleep. Just sink down into that sleep state. That's very good. When you see the polka dot design and enter that trance state, you will remove one shoe. You will put it into the bread bin. I used to be a pickpocket when I was younger.
Okay.
And I used to steal all sorts of things from people and used to take people's watches. There's a way of, basically, as you sort of talk to somebody and take hold of their wrists and so on, you can remove a watch from their wrist. And ties and all sorts of other things, wallets, obviously. And the most impressive thing that I used to steal from people when I was a pickpocket, only for entertainment reasons, was people's shoes.
Chris is reacting perfectly to the trigger and appears capable of the amnesia required to make this experiment a success. Now that I've taken Chris through the key processes required to brainwash him into attempting a public assassination, I need a dry run to see if the experiment will work at all in real life. I'm taking Chris out to dinner, but he'll have no idea he's being filmed by cameras hidden throughout the restaurant.
So what's the most sort of outrageous thing you have done?
The bungee jump was the most petrifying by a long way. I've done two now, but you're walking under a bridge, like hung up like just a metal grid on the bridge, underneath the bridge, sorry. So that was much worse than the actual process of jumping. It was quite strange.
Everyone else here knows that something may happen and not to react if it does.
Skydiver.
Yeah, we all know, don't we? Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Chris, have a look at the wine list.
This is the first true test to see if the training is working. Will he complete the task I'm about to give him?
You need to open that so you can take the gun. Now your target is the guy sat almost behind me, just to the side with the blue and white check shirt. You can wake up whenever you're ready. 3, 2, 1. And look at that one, there's nothing in it.
But when you've got all those things tied around your ankles and you do a drop like that, do you feel it yet?
In order to find out whether Chris really did pull the trigger without having any knowledge of his actions, I've arranged for him to take a lie detector test, run by the UK's first polygraph examiner, Bruce Burgess.
What I want to test today is to see at what level that hypnosis is working at. It's important to me that it is genuinely really happening and that when he can't remember, he really can't remember. So this is to see whether this can essentially beat a polygraph.
Well, if he genuinely doesn't believe that he did it and he doesn't remember he did it, then he will come out truthful.
Exactly.
No question of that.
If Chris lies, there will be a peak in his heart rate, his breathing will quicken, and he'll produce more sweat. These are unconscious reactions, there's no way to mask them. In order to have a baseline, the examiner will first ask a series of questions Chris has no reason to lie in response to.
Is your first name Chris?
Yes.
When you last went shopping, did you smell custard pie in someone's face?
No.
Between the ages of 16 and 20, do you remember deliberately the only issues we are discussing, do you intend to argue? Should you set up a stink bomb in the line? The other day when you were in a restaurant, did you shoot someone with a water pistol? No.
So, you had a chance to interview Chris. What's your conclusion?
Generally, I do not believe that he knows that he squirted that water pistol. I don't think he had any recollection of that at all.
So if this were a case, your advice would be at this point that no, he didn't shoot a water pistol at somebody in a restaurant?
That's correct. He was truthful.
Chris has passed the test, but will he stand up and fire a real gun in a busy theatre when he comes face to face with his target, Stephen Fry? In a few minutes, we'll discover whether marketing executive Chris is prepared to assassinate Stephen Fry after being subjected to hypnotic techniques similar to those that Sirhan, Robert Kennedy's assassin, and others claim were used on them by the CIA. Now, this is a question that has concerned clinical psychologists and conspiracy theorists for decades. Is it possible to program an ordinary member of the public into becoming a deadly assassin? We are about to answer that question once and for all. Writer, actor and broadcaster Stephen Fry is en route to a London venue where he'll be giving a talk to a packed house of fans.
I'll see you later on. Thanks very much.
Two things need to be in place for this experiment to genuinely answer our question. First of all, Chris has to believe that the gun that he has in his possession is a real gun and loaded with live bullets. And secondly, he cannot know that he's being filmed. As far as Chris is concerned, this has to be a real-life situation. We've told Chris we need to film with him and Stephen Fry later tonight after Stephen's talk, and we've suggested that he might as well stay and hear the talk as well. He doesn't know we're filming.
I am going to have to head back to the office now, which is really annoying. But is it alright if I give you something to give Darren after Stephen does his talk, and when you meet him after that? Is that alright? Okay.
A member of my team takes Chris into an empty dressing room prior to the show.
Okay, this is really important for you to know. Yeah. This gun is loaded with 3 bullets. So don't touch it. Yeah. Keep it with you until you see Darren and Stephen after Stephen's finished his talk. Okay. The thing is, I know you have it, but whatever you do, don't lose it.
Meanwhile, his celebrity target Stephen Fry prepares to go on stage. Special effects experts insert fake blood packs into his jacket in case Chris does pull the trigger during his performance. A few minutes before Stephen's talk begins, Chris takes a seat in the auditorium, unaware that hidden cameras are filming his every movement. The people surrounding him, who include security guards and firearms experts, know about the experiment. But the rest of the audience is here just to see Stephen Fry and has absolutely no idea of what could happen. After 17 minutes, he'll get his first trigger. What happens afterwards will determine whether this experiment succeeds or fails.
Thank you all. Good luck, everybody.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a massive warm welcome, Mr. Stephen Fry.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, very kind. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're very, very sweet. Thank you for coming. It's incredibly kind of you to come to this this little event. I wanted to talk about an enthusiasm that has consumed me, without me knowing it, almost all my life. You'll understand why I say almost when I tell you about it. What I'm obviously thinking of is language. A few evolutionary things were necessary for mankind to speak language, but once we had language, then everything else followed. It is absolutely the spring of all we are. In our culture, we keep certain words in a special place in our brain. But I remember going to the Turkana people in northern Kenya. Kenya alone has 69 languages. And the Turkana people speak one which is related to only one of the other 69, the Nilo-Hamitic language. It's a beautiful language, it's rich, it's like English, it's full of, oh, there's always one, isn't there? God bless her. Thank you. Well done. Amazing ideas, brilliant concepts, but it's been swamped. It's been swamped by Swahili. That's the problem, you see. These other languages like Swahili are swamping Africa, just as English is swamping Europe and the world and the internet, and Mandarin Chinese is swamping the Orient. No one really understands how to save a language or whether a language is worth saving. France, for example, has the language of Oxford. And the French have absolutely no interest, the rest of France, in saving it. Indeed, I went to visit the Académie Française, which I'm sure you've heard of, which is a very extraordinary institution. The Académie Française is for these ancient people who are great minds and thinkers, and they decide which words are allowed into the French language, which words are permissible, which words you might say are forbidden, and which words are not forbidden. So they also make words up. Trivial, they decided, would be the word for email. And we're not going to have email or email. Ordinateur, they decided, would be a computer, an ordinateur. And so they made up, words that were not allowed to enter the French language, which is, let's be honest, it's pissing into the wind. You can't.
Stephen, happy get?
Oh, good.
Well done.
Phew. There we are.
Cool. You going to change your jacket? Thank you. I just explain what's going on here. This is the culmination of quite a few months' work to see whether it's a gentleman called Chris, who's currently in a hypnotic trance, see whether it's possible to hypnotically program a person to kill. Chris, as far as he's concerned, just carried out a real assassination. Stephen was in on that, and there was no danger at all. Here he is. Stephen, everybody, out you go. I'm talking to you now, Chris. I'm now going to count you away. 3, 2, 1.
Takana is just one example, as I said, 69 Kenyan language. Swamping of language is a kind of tragedy. In the end, what I want to concentrate on more than anything else is language as a source of pride and beauty. All of you have language in your head. I hope you go out into the world a little more amazed.
Anything strange happened during the talk?
No.
I'm going to show you some footage of something that did happen. We actually had a camera on you. I know we didn't let you know that we were filming, which was important. Do you remember that woman in the polka dot dress?
No.
Don't remember turning around talking to you?
No.
Remember that bit?
No.
Yes, at the moment you will have no memory of this at all, but you just assassinated a national treasure.
Yes, you shot me.
Okay, so look, you know when you have a dream and you have no memory of it, and then somebody says something that just kind of triggers it, and then bit by bit it just starts to come back. And if you do think about it now, just start to think back for me. It's just like a mental block that you have there at the moment. And you can just start to let that go, and you can start to let it... What's coming back to you?
I remember the polka dot woman coming in there. And yeah, just kind of picking the gun up from the side like I was told.
Where did you think you were?
Nowhere, but if anywhere, it's closest to the range, because I could visualise the lights going down and the target, and picking it up felt like I was picking it off that bench.
Did you feel anything when you were aiming a loaded gun at Stephen?
Not really. No. Just felt like the outline of the target.
Wow.